Welcome everyone to our online seminar. And today's topic is talking about AI. And before you groan, AI is an important topic that has been pervasive in pretty much every vertical this year. We have focused most of our seminars to date on various applications of AI, like Microsoft Copilot or different ways of doing private data search engineering. We've also compared AI to things like robotic process automation, RPA, and automating and modernizing business process. Today, we wanted to take a little bit of a step back and invite a special guest and talk a little more about, in the same way that there was a modernization and business transformation trend a couple of years ago, where organizations had to make a decision about whether to buy an application to help them do something or actually literally employ developers and start figuring out how to create a digital version of their organization. AI is presenting a similar opportunity. You get to decide whether you just want to acquire an AI application for a certain use case, like a Microsoft Copilot, or do you actually need to build out, the term right now is AI factory, to be able to produce intelligent applications tuned to your data and your business for your organization to accelerate. And so today's topic, today's hour, is to focus on that greater concern. How do you build? What is it like to take a step back and build that platform for your organization? I will also call out, since I currently have the mic, that we have another seminar, I think next month, that's 3 hours long. So that if you actually want to touch the technology and figure out what it's like to actually do this, not theoretically, but in practice, we put together sort of a workshop so you can get through the hello world equivalent of AI, just to be able to touch it a little and get a better understanding for those of us who don't learn necessarily by hearing about it. With that, I want to introduce Seifa, who is basically an expert on everything, but today will be an expert on bringing AI to your data. Take it away, Seifa. But take yourself off mute first.
Yes, that helps. Thank you, Michael, for the intro, and thanks everyone for joining this morning. So today I'll be talking about bringing AI to your data, not the other way around. So I'm going to go through that journey, and as Michael stated, go through the AI factory and touch a few points. So share my screen. Hopefully you can see my screen. So this is really about the customer, your journey to AI, and some terms to know. And then, so first I'm going to start by AI is basically expanding. If you look at the total addressable market for technology spending, it's projected to grow at an 18% over the next 4 years to 120 billion plus. So that is one of the reasons customers like yourself are looking at AI, more focusing on that area. So if you look at this is across both hardware and services. So there's a lot of opportunity both for you as a customer, as also from a growth perspective as well. And 83% of all data, is potentially will reside on-prem at data centers, according to the research by IDC. And also 50% of that spending will be on GPU accelerated servers, which is expected to be on-prem or at the edge. So this is just to give you a high level overview of where the technology spending will look like over the next few years up to 2027. So again, when we look at AI, one of the things to mention, NVIDIA earnings, if you also look at it from that angle, the revenue has grown up by 18% over quarter Q4. So you see a lot of growth, from NVIDIA, which is one of the leaders in this space. So 92% agree that their organization needs to shift to an AI-first operating model in the next 12 months. But if we look at the industry more specifically, you will see that there's some level of urgency in some industries versus others. So if you look at energy, retail, nonprofit employees, they do show a strong indication to make an accelerated leap to an AI-first operating model, outpacing other sectors. But also comparatively, healthcare as well as utilities, are the least rushed to make this shift. But the key point is that most organizations see a need to shift to an AI-first operating model in the next year or so to stay competitive. So as far as AI adoption, accelerating AI adoption, it allows organizations to extract the full potential of their data. So we'll talk more about data. It's all about the data. So this will lead, to business outcomes that will deliver unprecedented value creation. So this means in 4 areas. One is driving growth, enhancing experience, optimizing productivity, and also accelerating innovation. So Michael Dell, chairman and CEO of Dell, he actually put it in a nice way. He said that AI is defining technology of this industry and of our sector for the rest of the decade. But he did stress the fact that this is all about the data. So customers, organizations have data, and that data is actually is really the fuel for AI. So basically, I go back to the point that the data is going to be critical element in when we discuss about generative AI or traditional AI. So when we look at a lot of organizations as a whole, there's one portion that's basically, as you can see on the slide, data that's visible and accessible. But there's also data that's called dark data. That's the type of data that's basically in silos that customers are not able to touch or leverage. So, and there's a lot of that dark data. So the idea is basically to understand, where your data is and to be able to capitalize on the data so that it is visible and can be, you could leverage that data to get the maximum value in your AI strategy. So on the next slide, the key thing is really the data becomes the differentiator. So the data quality and fit is going to be a key success metric from a model and code-centric approach to a more data-focused. The efficacy or the effectiveness of AI tools hinges also upon the quality of those data sets as well. And third, high quality labeled data is also a leading driving factor. So the 3 things are going to be key, and all of them are focused on data, quality of data, as well as high quality labeled data as being the key differentiator for any organization. So if we look at the data analytics and AI maturity path, most organizations today use BI tools in one form or another. Basically, those BI tools give them some hindsight, what happened, insight, what happened and why, and also foresight, what will, when, and why. But when you look at the data analytics and AI maturity path, there's also 2 other, maturity levels that I'm going to touch on. One is the simulation-driven analysis and decision-making, as well as the self-learning and automated enterprise. So the key difference is when you look at simulation-driven analysis, its focus is really on decision-making. And then the thought simulation is actually looking at the data. They're both advanced analytical tools and methods, but they will look at the data much more closely in terms of the pattern. So at the thought simulation level, you're looking at data patterns. At the mature data lake level, you're actually focusing on decision making. So the AI, both the prescriptive analytics that I talked about and the cognitive analytics is going to will play a key role when it comes to machine learning, deep learning, and also artificial intelligence. So AI starts with better data management, and you'll hear me say data, data, and a data. So better data management, better data preparation. So Dell basically is introducing what's called the Dell Data Lakehouse. So when you look at the Dell Data Lakehouse, basically it will federate across all data sources, that whether it's database, structured, unstructured databases, file systems, etc. And then also their customers have different, using open file formats and open table formats, be able to look at the data from a common Dell Analytics engine powered by Starburst to be able to query the data irrespective of what the source is of that data. And then, of course, there's the management and orchestration, which is the Dell Lakehouse system software, which allows for faster and easier deployment, lifecycle management, easy scaling, enterprise support. And these basically leverage the infrastructure from Dell, whether it's object storage or unstructured data, scale out storage such as PowerScale. So as well as the Dell PowerEdge systems that provide you the infrastructure to be able to leverage the Dell Lakehouse system software, and also the analytics engine that will be able to give you a federated system and be able to give you answers irrespective of the file format or location. So bringing AI to your data with the data lakehouse, customers, as I said, they will have different types of data sources, whether it's, Google BigQuery, Oracle, Kafka, DB2. Basically, it could come either core, edge, or cloud. Then it comes out into the Dell Data Lakehouse, and then it will allow you to use the data analytics tools to be able to get, the answers that you're seeking from the data. So by leveraging the Dell Data Lakehouse, customers will be able to realize up to 90% increase in speed to insights. They will be able to reduce 50% reduction in the cost of data analytics, and always 100% open architecture with support from open data formats as well. So let's go into a little bit more detail, because customers will have, AI did not start yesterday. Actually, AI started, several decades ago. And the one that most customers are familiar with is the traditional AI. The traditional AI basically focused on detecting patterns and also focused on making decisions based on those patterns and honing analytics, classifying data. That's what AI basically was focused on. But with the advancement in technology, now we're into generative AI. The generative AI is based on prompts, gives you chat responses, and also, would be able to process not just prompt, but also images, and be able to translate from text to image, image to image, image to text. So it basically works with synthetic data or videos. So that's basically going to be the key difference. And a lot of the excitement that you see in the industry today is on the area of generative AI. I'm not saying that the traditional AI doesn't have a place, but basically both of them will play a key role, with generative AI being one of the key areas that customers are going to focus on in the next, for the next couple of years. So when we look at, the fundamental tasks of traditional AI, it basically looks at, these are some of the possible applications for artificial intelligence. One is computer vision, anomaly detection, NLP, or natural language processing, and recommendation systems doing prediction and also optimization. So there's a lot of different use cases that you can see when it comes to traditional AI. And on the right-hand side, you can see visualization, deep learning, simulation modeling. So all of these fall under traditional AI. So this is a possible application. And the first case, you have there's classification. In the second case, basically, you have, the dogs and then it's basically doing detection. And then in the third case, C, it's doing segmentation. And all of these basically use different types of technologies to give you these types of results, from person, cat, and dog, being able to classify, detect, and also segment. So when you look at Gen I or generative AI, basically, you have existing data and you're generating new data from existing data, and you're getting more insight. So there's going to be use cases and also models, they will continue to expand and evolve. So there's no one size fits all approach. The LLMs are basically large language models. They come in all sizes across all industries. And there are smaller AI models that are efficient for proof of concept and testing. And also workloads run on-prem, sometimes in clouds and also at the edge. And there's also AI models will be distributed to AI or AI-ready PCs as well. So it's not one size fits all approach. Customers have to select the one that fits their specific business requirements. So when we look at AI deployment patterns and their implications, there's different places that customers may want to leverage. For example, in the pre-trained model slash inferencing, basically the model is initially trained, or it's a pre-trained model. It uses what's called a transformer. And customers might use this initially, it's not their own data, but basically it's already developed. The LLMs or the large language models are already there. So it's a pre-trained model. So this would be ideal for a proof of concept or running it in a dev environment. And then all the way up, there's the model training. The model training is where universities or OEMs, manufacturers basically leverage data scientists to build these models, and it's typically very time consuming and requires data scientists to actually put together, develop these models. So time consuming and resource intensive, and also expensive. So the model augmentation, it's very, very similar to the pre-trained model that I talked about on the left. The only difference in the model augmentation is that it's actually leveraging the end customers or your data, right? So think of it as a subject matter, SME, subject matter expert, but it's a subject matter expert in one area. Suppose you put the model augmentation for healthcare, you basically will pick healthcare, a very specific, unique case, and you could train that model, but it will only be a subject matter in one area. So what we basically see is the fine tuning is where a lot of customers are going to spend their time, including the model augmentation. We believe both from Dell and from Arrow, we think this is the sweet spot for most organizations to be able to leverage pre-trained models, but at the same time leverage their own data. And the model augmentation and the fine tuning is where, we see a lot of customers putting their investment in. Not to say that the model training is not going to be an area, but I think those are basically universities that are well equipped with data scientists and have large, or OEMs that have large, data sets. They'll be able to do the model training and then make it available, and customers will be able to use those pre-trained models and be able to fine tune them or do model augmentation and be able to leverage it within their own organization. So as you can notice, the effort and cost increases as you go from pre-trained all the way to model training. And then over here, developers are required, whereas data scientists are required in the fine tuning and the model training. So again, the model that you pick, there's going to be, different types of deployment patterns, and they will also have implications, back to your, uh, uh, back to the business. So I talked about, RAG, or retrieval augmented generation. So this is basically, I talked about, being a subject matter expert, and this is basically the flow. This is basically prompt based, so it's domain specific knowledge base. So it will basically take whatever prompt that you give it, and then it looks at the vector database and it goes through the whole process. But the thing is, not only is it looking at the vector database, it might even be chained to another source to be able to rank it, and then query the LLM. It could be PDF documents, could be a database, and be able to provide you the response. So RAG is going to be, think of it as a subject subject matter expert in one area, but I think customers will be able to leverage this, to get much more insight about their own environment. So in contrast, if we look at, for example, ChatGPT, which basically scrapes the web and provides you information, it gives you a lot of trillions. It's built with trillions of parameters, but it's much more generic in its response. I can't, for example, go into ChatGPT and ask it a very specific question about, a specific organization. It does not know. So in those type of cases, you need some type of a RAG, something that's more on-prem that you could leverage. And these are things that you could deploy within your own environment. Multimodal AI routing basically will use not just text but also images. So it's a multi-model LLM which are connected. They work together to respond to a variety of different prompts. This is going to be ideal. So typically we talk about one LLM or a large language model, but the ability to connect these large language models or a group of models together, it basically makes the models very specialized in processing different data. It could be sound, pictures, text, or video. So that's, multimodal LLMs. Also, prompt enhancement is one specialized in rearranging, rewording, adding, removing from a prompt in order to maximize the performance. And for example, Stable Diffusion is an example. These are models which will enhance your prompt to make it much more interpretable to Stable Diffusion. So for those of you that are not familiar with Stable Diffusion, basically it can take text. You give it a text and it will be able to draw an image, or you could give it an image and be able to enhance it. So it's very, very powerful. So that's the second one. And the third one is really routing between experts. So experts are a model which is specialized in a certain domain. It's cost effective to fine tune, several smaller models and route different prompts depending on the field needed to answer a question. So these are, this is more about multimodal AI routing. So the different approaches that customers can leverage in order to make their large language models much more efficient and effective. So we talk about large language models, but what are the risks of getting Gen AI wrong? So the first one is really, not making the headlines. So intellectual property loss. So you need to look at, make sure that Gen AI that's deployed is deployed using best practices and on the right infrastructure. So this is one Amazon warns employees not to share, with ChatGPT after they see cases where its answer closely matches existing material from the inside of the company. So that's really one of the, the second one is really data leakage. Samsung workers accidentally leaked trade secrets via ChatGPT. So these are some of the concerns that customers have if Gen AI is not deployed correctly. The third is really privacy issues. So, this is another example. I'm not going to go through it, but personal and payment information, exposed. So name, email address, payment address, credit card. That's also another area to keep in mind. The third is really compliance violations. So, so there could be in banking, the consequences can be severe. So compliance is also something to be to take into account. As far as credibility, integrity risks, yeah. So in this case, a lawyer uses ChatGPT in federal court and it goes horribly wrong. And that's what I meant by ChatGPT, scraping the web. It's not very, gives you generic, but, it also hallucinates from time to time. In other words, it may not give you the correct answers because, you have to trust the source of the data. Bias, MIT student asked AI to make her headshot more professional. It gave her lighter skin and blue eyes. So these are some of the things that also to keep in mind. And IP infringement, again, that's another area, if AI is done incorrectly. So, so basically, in summary, you need to make sure that Gen AI is a great technology, but it also you have to take some considerations before deploying it internally within your organization. So considerations of AI placement, because customers, like yourself, they ask questions. Should I deploy it within my data center or co-location facility? Should I put it in a private cloud, or should I put it in a public cloud? So, I mean, there's going to be answers. It depends on each of the use cases, but these are some of the things to keep in mind. If you want secure access, maybe private cloud. So look at the dots where if you want general purpose, breadth of use cases, maybe public cloud, accuracy control and customization, again, private cloud, fast time to value, cost, again, where data resides. Again, it depends on where you want to place your data. So as I mentioned, data is going to be the fuel for AI. So why bring AI on-prem to your data? Data sovereignty is key to sustain success. So research shows that 73% say data, intellectual property, are too valuable to be placed in a Gen AI tool where a third party may have access to it. So these are some of the things to consider. Deliver secure access to valuable data, increase the visibility into data and models, and also maintain control over how AI is used. So, regulation, legal, governance, performance, the tokenization costs in terms of infrastructure as a service, the ingress, egress fees, all take into account of why customers, should bring their data on-prem. So cost is a major consideration for LLM inferencing. So when I talk about inferencing, basically what I'm talking about is making sure, once, you have your data, you've put it through the model, now you're exposing it to new types of data sets. So it's already finished training. So now it's time to actually, give you results. So cost is going to be a major consideration for LLM inferencing. So again, 4 times more cost effective than public cloud infrastructure as a service, and 8 times more cost effective than token-based API services. So again, this is a research, by enterprise strategy group that they did, commissioned by Dell. So shows you exactly public cloud versus Dell on-prem, and basically they were using Llama 2, which is a 70B, stands for billion parameters, using RAG. And this is what they came out with in terms of public cloud infrastructure as a service. Availability is 16 hours per day, 5 days per week, and then up to 4 times more cost effective, having it on-prem. So right-sizing your Gen AI investment, I talked about, some of the things to consider about, doing AI wrong or generative AI wrong. So right-sizing your Gen AI investment, incorporates a lot of different things. And I'm just going to build out this slide. But there's, the infrastructure costs. Sometimes Gen AI may start with a laptop, such as the XPS 15. So you may have developers that put their investment time, developing software on laptops with GPUs, of course. Another one would be precision workstations with GPUs that will be able to deliver what you need. And then, of course, there's also servers like the PowerEdge R series. So this basically becomes your infrastructure. Now, what Dell has done is really introduce the DVD, or also called the Dell Validated Designs, and that basically brings compute. In this case, it's not the PowerEdge R series, but the PowerEdge XE series, for compute, the networking, PowerSwitch Z series, and also object store and PowerScale for unstructured data, to be able to actually build a Dell validated designs that customers can utilize, to build out their infrastructure. So these are validated and validated infrastructure to build your generative AI. And then as far as patterns, we talked about the 4 areas. I think I touched on it in terms of leveraging pre-trained model inferencing, but the two key ones I talked about was really model augmentation and fine tuning, but there's also the model training. So those are the LLM or large language, patterns. In terms of use cases, customers will have different types of use cases when it comes to Gen AI. Some may focus on content creation. It could be natural language search, design and data creation, code generation, document automation. I'm sure there's a lot more use cases within your own, organization. And then really the goal, the business strategy, operations management, innovation and research and development, manufacturing, supply chain. There's a lot of different things, goals that, you have to basically outline in order to be successful. Usually start small and build it, build the larger use cases as time goes by based on, your success rate. And then of course, there's the professional services where Dell can provide consultancy advisory and also data science specialists to help with the Gen AI investment. So as I mentioned, the use cases are quite a few. So there's business strategy and operations management. The first question is really, where do I begin? Right? That's a good question. So there's also product innovation. There's the brainstorming. So it depends on each of the manufacturing, supply chain, sales, and customer service, or it could be for IT, HR, and finance. So there's most organizations typically, according, to Dell's research, have more than 200 use cases. So understanding the use case, understanding the strategy and the business outcome is going to be critical. So once, the use case has been identified, then the next step is really prioritizing the generative AI use cases. What, criteria for consistently evaluating business use case. So some of the value criteria, more, better, faster, cheaper. So you could use such a diagram, as you can see, or a chart where you could, put low and high based on feasibility and also business value. And the feasibility criteria could be the data, the AI model, the process, the people, the platform. And then you could also have the different use cases below. So understanding the use case and also the priority and the business value is going to be critical when, coming up with the Gen AI, best Gen AI use cases. So there's endless possibilities to tailor to your business need. So this one, for example, there's a customer service, answer product service questions, shopping assistance, that's one. Technical support, maybe another use case where common technical requests and basic troubleshootings are handled by the Gen AI. Training and education, you could offer customized interactive learning experience, information concierge, providing directions, answering facts or frequently asked questions, and then also scheduling, guided booking, rescheduling, etc. So these are some of the, possibilities that you can tailor to your business need. So rapidly, delivering digital assistance with a proven solution. Basically, you see here a digital assistant, and this is the framework that you see on the left-hand side. You could put multiple display options. In this case, it is Clara. So she can tell you the library is open until 8 p.m. today. Tomorrow, it will open 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So this is a prompt that was prompted right here. When is the library open? And she's basically responding to those questions. So if we look at the infrastructure from device all the way up, basically it's built on Dell Compute with NVIDIA GPUs, Dell Storage, Dell NVIDIA Networking. This basically becomes the infrastructure. There's also infrastructure. A lot of these LLMs or models are built on containers, such as orchestration tools using Kubernetes. And then there's also Gen AI deployment tools that are available, both open source and also from NVIDIA. And then of course, there's the Gen AI development frameworks that customers can leverage, to build interfaces, Dell middleware, and also audio to face frameworks as well. So optimize enterprise scale architecture. Basically, this is also breaking it down in terms of how you can scale out the architecture as your business requirements change. So in this first case, it's a digital assistant, renderer, and information retrieval. The second one is a LLM model powered with NVIDIA GPUs, and the data sources, basically the training and also the inferencing can happen on the Dell storage. And then there's also the cluster management and Kubernetes control plane living on Power Edge servers, as well as the network fabric on Power Switch. And then you basically will have an orchestration tool and an LLM management tool on the front end. And then this can integrate, as I mentioned before, you could do RAG, which has application integration to EHR, ERP, EDI, other APIs as well. So here's Clara. So she's the digital assistant for Dell. So she's live. You can chat with her. So basically, the next question is really AI maturity and understanding where you sit in the life cycle, in the journey. There are some customers that have deployed AI. They're scaling beyond initial projections and adapting to evolving AI demands. There are those that are AI, considering AI. They're navigating through various, graphical processing units or GPUs. They're looking at server options and implementation strategies. And then third are the AI curious. So trouble identifying the business value of AI and overcoming apprehensions. So, understanding exactly, the level of AI maturity within your organization. Are you curious about it? Are you considering, or have you already deployed AI? And looking at specific use cases and trying to scale beyond initial projections. So understanding exactly where you sit is also going to be critical as you move through this journey. This is AI terminology to listen, basically things, just to show you the whole process. This is data collection, storage management. Initially, that building the model. This is where the hardware accelerators like the GPU, software, and storage come into play. This is where you do the hardware integration and training, the model verification and testing, and then basically, the deployment. And then basically the cycle repeats itself. So, understanding the patterns in the first stage, the training piece, training the model, understanding the relationships of the business value that you're trying to get from the AI model, and testing it, and to make sure that you get the accuracy of the AI model, and then validating to make sure that you get the results. So it goes through different phases as you go. So the first piece is on the storage in terms of the data collection, but also I would stress the fact that when you're doing data collection, we have to make sure that the data is in a format that could be utilized. So it's clean and consistent. So customers cannot just take their data and put it and place it on an AI model. The second, the centerpiece, the hardware, accelerator, software, and storage, basically that's where the model is done. You basically test the parameters, and that's where the learning piece takes place. And then the last piece is the deployment. That's where you do the inferencing. Now that the model has been trained, you're going to introduce new data sets that it has never seen before. And, it will predict based on the model. And then the fine tuning also takes place there. And then you basically operationalize in the deployment phase as well. So use digital transformation framework to guide, so I'm going to go directly to the Dell AI Factory with NVIDIA, since that was the topic that I really said that we're going to touch. So we looked at, some of the challenges, we looked at some of the benefits of AI. And so let's take a look at, the AI Factory with NVIDIA. So what's slowing down AI adoption? 76% of IT and business leaders believe Gen AI will deliver a transformative value for their organization. The top challenge for AI, enterprise AI adoption, is AI skills and talent strategy. And that's based on research that was conducted by IDC and Dell. And the second one is risk. The number one factor also considered for choosing Gen AI models is security. So customers want to avoid complexity. The second one, they want to minimize risk. Even though we cannot avoid it, we can minimize it. And the third is expense. The top challenge organizations face when implementing AI is cost. So those are the three things or challenges that are slowing down AI adoption. Now you take those, and then here's the Dell AI Factory. So the Dell AI Factory basically provides you, or helps customers embrace and implement AI by providing, the AI Factory. Data is now the raw material that powers the AI Factory. And data is on-prem or at the edge. And Dell basically helps you bring AI to your most valuable data in storing it, protecting it, and managing that data. And then as far as the infrastructure concerned, infrastructure is going to be the foundation of the AI Factory. there's going to be different use cases, and it needs to be able to scale as time, changes over time, as your business requirements change over time. So AI use cases are diverse. AI technologies are rapidly evolving. So having a broad AI portfolio from client to cloud and allowing you, to right size your AI investment and also giving you the flexibility to run AI anywhere is going to be key. And then, of course, there's the open ecosystem. You don't want to be tied to no single vendor can meet all your AI needs. But Dell has also proven history of nurturing open ecosystems and also providing broad AI ecosystem, giving customers greater access to innovation and flexibility. And then service is going to be key. Having a skilled team to succeed and also leveraging those skills that are in short supply is also going to be key in terms of going through this journey. And then the outcomes powered by use cases. So the AI factory produces business outcomes powered by highest priority use cases. And basically Dell will allow help you simplify the deployment of AI use cases with validated solutions and tailored services as well. So really, I talked about complexity, risk, and cost. And by utilizing the Dell AI Factory, it will help you accelerate your AI adoption. One is simplicity. So it's comprehensive AI services. You're looking at a validated solution, optimized solutions that will make AI easier, and it will augment the skill gaps and address the data readiness. The second is really security. Security is top of mind for a lot of customers. Having a trusted infrastructure, full stack solution, and services will allow you, will ensure the data is protected, managed, and accessible. And then also giving you a broad AI solution portfolio, will address the question about no one size fits all approach. So simple, secure, economical is really the outcome of the Dell AI Factory. And basically, this gives you the use cases that I mentioned and running it on-prem, also giving you the ability to send it to the cloud, for example, for inferencing, and also data is generated at the edge and being able to leverage the edge and bring it to the data center. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. And then the infrastructure piece ties everything from client devices, compute, networking, which is basically the glue, storage, which is ideal, which is needed for the training portion, data protection, and also the software, and leveraging the frameworks that are available and the services to actually build out this whole case. So how Dell is applying AI across the business, basically 4 different ways. Embedding AI in Dell's products, integrating AI for Dell and our, Dell's customers, running AI on Dell portfolio, and building an open AI ecosystem with partners, one of them being NVIDIA. So basically, generative AI is posed to be the century's game changer. It's bringing up to 1 trillion productivity gains. So the impact is going to be simplifying workday with AI. Will have significant impact. 80% of employees would like AI to summarize their meetings and action items and plan their day. 86% of employees welcome AI to help them find the right answers and information. 73 will be comfortable using AI for creative work. So definitely it is going to be a game changer, for productivity gains. Also increasing efficiency and productivity with Dell Optimizer. It's a built-in AI-based optimizing software and basically best possible connection, audio, and performance. So these are all the different things, to harness the power of AI in the modern workplace. So I think I touched on some of these things, but there's GPUs, NPUs. So these will enhance the overall human experience. These are some of, from a time perspective, I'm just going to. So I'm going to go to the actual, from a Dell AI PC's perspective. Dell has the most devices, with, these, I talked about laptops. So this is going to be, it's going to play a key role with AI. The next one is really unleashing Gen AI with Power Edge. Again, AI server and infrastructure providing you the highest performance. And then there's also easy button for AI infrastructure. So these are the building blocks from the R760XA all the way to the PowerEdge XC9680. So these give you a lot of different options, air-cooled or liquid-cooled solution. And so there's also the 9680L, which is new announced, which is basically a dense liquid-cooled system. That's also announced, which back in at the Dell Technology World. And then storage is PowerScale for your unstructured data, which gives you exceptional storage performance and flexibility. So this is used for storing your data, and it can scale up to 252 nodes per cluster. So announce the F910 again for specific for AI factory, which basically unlocks the GPU potential for large scale training. And then this is from a networking perspective, extreme speed, 51.2 terabytes per second bandwidth. Again, with Gen AI, it brings a lot of, from a networking, it's going to be very bandwidth, it's going to consume a lot of bandwidth. So networking is going to be key, whether it's Ethernet or InfiniBand. So again, this is the Z9864F Sonic, which is, also comes with a smart fabric manager and also different types of low latency network cards as well. And to get overall incident management observability, there's the new AI Ops assistant, which will be able to answer questions, detect problems faster, reduce issues with powerful AI and noise reduction. So again, you could use it for incident management, application observability, and infrastructure as well. This is the NVIDIA AI Enterprise, which is basically what the AI factory is built on. So the storage platform for enterprise AI gives you pretty much a whole full stack. So it's a suite of software that will be able to help you build the models, etc. And this is basically also part of the AI factory. In terms of partnerships, Hugging Face Enterprise Hub, it has a lot of use cases for content creation, chatbots, virtual assistant, code generation, inferencing, fine-tuning. So Dell is basically partnered with Hugging Face to offer optimized on-prem deployment of generative AI models. Llama 3 is the most capable openly available LLMs today. So again, this will help you build the future of AI. It's an on-prem deployment of state-of-the-art open source LLM with Dell AI solutions powered by PowerEdge XE9680. So it can work with 8 billion or 70 billion models. So it has a large vocabulary size. And then, it also Llama 3 exceeds performance of costly cloud-based proprietary models, and it also provides you integration with existing customer frameworks as well. Dell plus Microsoft Azure AI services. Again, this extends the partnership to Microsoft as well. You can accelerate AI. You can fast track your AI vision with simplified deployment and time to value. So you can also utilize AI infrastructure with full stack deployment. And this is another option, using Microsoft Azure with the Dell AI Apex Cloud Platform for Microsoft Azure. So what I wanted to touch on was really, to give you all the different options and integration that's available. So the RAG device to data center to cloud. So basically a very broad portfolio of solutions that's available, for, if you're starting, depending on where you are in your journey. So this is really, as easy as 1, 2, 3 to build your AI factory by solution, by product, by consumption model. So you have different options to select by solution, such as digital assistants, model file tuning. You could go by product or by consumption model, and all of these added with professional services, to build up your strategy, making sure your data is prepped, implementation, model tuning, and operations. So And the final slide, basically the Dell AI Factory with NVIDIA bundle gives you the pre-trained LLMs and inferencing. So there's basically they're broken down into three different groups, and I'll just touch on this. There's the small, medium, and large, depending on your use case. So basically, if we talk about small, we're talking about 3 to 10 use cases, right? If you're talking about, medium, you're talking about 10 to 25 use cases. And then large is going to be 25 to 50 use cases. And then, of course, if you want small and good, small and best, basically the key difference is the number of parameters. This one is 20 billion. This is 175 billion. So again, based on the use cases and the number of parameters, you can pick the right infrastructure that meets your business requirement. So that's what I have. And right now it's 11 o'clock. Michael, I will pass it over back to you if there's any questions.
I didn't see any questions in the Q&A, but I did want to just take a moment to kind of restate a few of the things you said, if you don't mind, mostly because there was so much in there that it's a lot, right? And I it's a lot for me, and I'm like an expert, right? So I heard you talk about dark data and normal data, right? The data that's in the light and we know how to get to, and the data that's in the silos. This is the same thing we talked about years ago when we started talking about data visualization and business intelligence, and right. So I hear that AI is building on the work that people have done in the past around data governance and making sure they get their hands around their data.
Correct.
I heard you talk about how AI can start on as easy as a laptop. Although I do remember the story you told about what happens when you take a 20 billion parameter LLM on your laptop and ask it a question. It will come back one character at a time for a considerable amount of time, right? And so I know we're all getting used to a new language where somebody chooses a model and with it comes how many parameters it has. I know that confuses people. They think they have to look at their data and figure out how many parameters, but sometimes it's in the model you select. And so if you pick one with 200 billion parameters, then you need to size around the model that you picked to use, and that's right you're at. You talked about RAG. You talked about how there are plenty of people who have created models to make it faster for people to get out into the market to be using AI. Where if you take one of these out of the box and you have a little kit to help you get through the last couple of steps, that's vastly faster. And that is where at least the Dell concept of the AI factory was trying to put that to hardware and make it a reality for people. And lastly, I heard that this is a journey. Like there's going to be some new stuff for all of us to learn. You danced over the liquid cooling thing, which, I think everybody remembers like Cray computers and rooms that take up like a warehouse full before you get into liquid cooling. And now all it takes is to cross that, 500 billion parameter line, and welcome to the world of liquid cooling and trying to figure out how to have enough power. You also very casually mentioned that when most of us think about gig or 10 or 100 or 200 gig Ethernet these days, like table stakes start at 800 gig and go up from there when you're talking about AI at scale, which is just a massive redefinition of exactly how many lanes you need on this information superhighway, and tells you something about, you had a slide in there, might have gotten a little buried. People talk about two things. One, you have to put this near your data. So wherever your data is, this stuff needs to go. And two, there's a lot of debate about the economics of doing this in the scalar cloud. The scalar cloud's pricing scheme is based on the grinding of cycles, the amount of data you move in back and forth, and the amount of storage you do. Unfortunately, AI uses all of those things in great abundance, and this is what is causing the debate. Like when you're running some of those runs, it's going to be a mountain bill versus taking it on-prem. Did I miss anything in summary?
No, you actually summarized it really, really well. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. I'll do a final, any other questions? I've been trying to watch the Q&A. Great. Well, thank you all for attending, and I'm looking forward to the next workshop, Seifa. You guys
Okay.
have a great day.
Thank you very much. Thanks.